So after watching this episode, I'm quite literally speechless. Common side effects, episode 4. We're at this realtor's office, and Marshall wants to buy this certain land for the reason of growing. Now, before he goes to these doors, this is where we get this cool perspective. So, the realtor lady sitting at her desk in her little rolly chair, watching the news on this TV. And as she's watching it, we go into this first person view as if we're right there in the room watching it ourselves. And all these people are flashed on the screen talking about their miraculous recoveries after various accidents. And as that's going down, coming in, they're I'm talking about Marshall, he comes to the door, they're thinking what is to be a angel, and an image pops up, which is via sketch, an exact match of Marshall. Which realtor lady, she's already lost all of her attention off the show, or not the show, the news. And she's like, "Hey, sir, what are you here for?" And Marshall's like, "Hey, I'm here for this property." And she pops up the information. She's like, "Oh, sir, you seem like a nice guy, but this is a dump ground. You don't want it." And after Marshall's like kind of trying to explain himself, this is where we get this shockingly thriller-like scene. A sheriff pulls up, car parks. He slowly comes in, makes his way towards the realtor, kisses her, and then he has this conversation with Marshall. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing with my girlfriend?" And Marshall's kind of like, The sheriff's like, "Hey, I'm just kidding." And then the realtor's like, "Oh, he's here for this land." And then he says the same thing she did. "You seem like a nice guy." Now we go back to the connection. Oh, he's an angel. Literally, he looks like a nice guy. He's done all this stuff. He's literally angel like, right? But he secures this property after this awkward confrontation between both of them. Yeah, things go good for him. Now, Frances is doing some stuff with her boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend's like, "Oh, I love you, Frances." And yeah, yeah, we're just gonna go back to Marshall for now. It gets crazier after all. Marshall is taking in this new point of view. His new house, I would say, him and his tortoise are trying to make themselves at home. Things are looking good. Now, I don't know the exact moment. Like, I don't remember exactly. I don't know how important. Well, it's sort of important, actually. So I'll just tell it the way I want to remember it the best. Marshall, doing good, just chilling out, finally goes to bed. And this is where he has his bad nightmare about Frances. He's got like his shirt off, and he wakes up. Her like Frances' head pops in his dream. He hears these gunshots, and he goes outside to investigate. And this is where he is greeted after going to his neighbor's yard. They have like a sniper scope on his head, and that's the same one I used for the thumbnail, by the way. He talks to him, and this is where it's two crazed rednecks that are shooting guns outside in the middle of the night, and opens a door. Another person walks out, and it turns out to be the same officer slash sheriff from earlier. And he's like, "Hey, these are my nephew. This is my nephew, by the way." I think only one of them was his nephew. I don't think both were. I guess the other one's like a friend living with them. Not too important, really. So, now, after we met the new neighbors, we go back to Frances. Frances is putting her clothes back on, her shirt specifically, and she's talking to her boyfriend. And they're kind of having this argument. Frances thinks that he was just saying the "I want to marry you" stuff in the moment of that moment. And boyfriend's like, "No, I really do mean it." Frances comes to the conclusion, which we know, she's not ready for that. And the conversation gets cut off because she gets a call from Rick. So that's her boss. She goes over to talk to him, and he's just dumb as can be, right? Things are kind of spicy going on. And I forgot the exact moment, but I think this around this time is where she receives a phone call, and it turns out to be her mom. So something I didn't talk about last episode is her mom made a miraculous recovery after trying these mushrooms. She thought it didn't work. So that's where she kind of distanced herself from Marshall. And so, after getting this big phone call, of course, she wants to go back home, see her mom. And she does indeed do that. She's on the plane. Meanwhile, Marshall sends out a postcard to someone that we don't know as of yet, which we'll know here in a second. Meanwhile, let's talk about the meanwhile thing. So, Hildy is on this crazy goose chase. She thinks she deserves the mushroom over Marshall, and she has her little goon of geeky mushroom professional people. One of them, I guess, would be stupider and just ignorant in the community. The other one, way smarter, which is the guy. Yeah. As well as they're being watched, I'm talking about Marshall, via spy cam by someone. By someone. Okay. The other people watching him is gosh, I feel bad. Cabano and Harrington. They're talking about the killer stuff, as well as they make a new connection on their case end that, well, it turns out that Francis is a part of the case, as well as the boss, Rick. So we got what you would call a three-way case, which it's just connecting pieces all together, right? So, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. They're doing their little investigation. Hildy's on the chase. It's a crazy cruise chase all around, full circle finally. Let's go back to this plane ride. So the plane lands. First thing that happens for Frances is she wants to go see her mom. Whole purpose. Her boyfriend didn't want to come because he wanted to give her space because he thought that was what's best. So you could say he's a really good partner in a way. In a way, he sucks in another way. But she makes her way to the nursing home. She has this nice talk with their mom. And after talking about what it feels like after all that, her mom says, "Hey, I received this postcard." And she reads this postcard and it's signed by someone, M. M ended up saying, "I hope you feel better." And she sees where it's from. It's from North Carolina. So she has this crazy idea. Let's go to North Carolina. And Marshall goes into, I don't know what building it was. He was ready to go into this building and he sees this person over on some type of bench and they're laying down and it turns out to be Francis. Has a nice conversation. Francis is like, "Oh, I've been here all day." Goes in and hugs him. So Francis is finally falling in love with him. We also, during this episode, we get to see the backstory kind of on him. It seems he was pretty alone in his own life. He was really a loner in a lot of ways. Now, he seemed way different when he was younger. Actually, quite cool in my book. I didn't think he was a loser. So I thought the whole time he may have been a loser. He didn't seem like much of a loser, just very alone at home. Home life was, yeah, him being alone a lot. So he actually loves Francis. That's something we know. So you could say this is where the love is kind of sparking up. Francis wants to help him. She wants to spread this mushroom. So she comes back to this dumping ground with him to his trailer. And things just get intense. It all breaks down here. This is what I like to call the finale for this episode that leaves you off the cliff completely. So Francis is just seeing this tortoise, like, "Oh, it's so cute." And oh my goodness. Out the window, Marshall sees someone wearing a ski mask and he's like, "What?" It's like thundering outside. So he just goes away. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go get some outside." Francis is like, "Oh, okay, take your time or whatever." Talking about the looking at the tortoise, kind of enjoying it, and this is where he goes into this. I don't know what it is, like a unit, some storage unit or something. He goes in there and he gets chased by the guy. The guy gets hit with something. Wild goose chase. The ski mask dude ends up stealing the bike of the neighbor. The neighbor shoots this like crazy M249 into the woods at him. And it's just stupid. So they're chasing him. Marshall's running into the woods. He's like in the middle of the woods. Finally, the man in the ski mask on the dirt bike finds him, and things go down here. He has a handgun, and he's like, "Hey, where's the mushrooms?" And as this conversation's going on, Frances comes in, and she's here. And then he turns and looks at Frances. He goes towards her, and Marshall's like, "No, Frances, what?" And, dude, he steps up towards Frances. Boom! It turns out the crazed redneck had a landmine there. Two younger dudes are there meeting him too, and Frances is just, I don't know how she feels right now. I don't know what she's thinking. She's just speechless. And she picks up this man's foot, literally his blown off foot, picks it up. No words. This is where I was speechless. I was like, whoa, what is going on now? So, after all this, dude, let's get straight to the rating. Intensity, 8.8 episode. Love this series. It is definitely something that Adult Swim needs more of. Serious shows are really good, especially for adults. We want serious cartoons, guys, and this does the perfect job. Question of the day is, after this shocking ending, do you think that Frances is going to end up staying here with Marshall, or do you think Marshall is going to try and abandon her to try and save her life? Now, I don't know what is going to happen as far as that. So hopefully they can stay together. I hope. Anyway, hope you guys stay safe. And until next time, peace out.